Hello, my name is James Hackett and I have high functioning autism, and I want to share my experience about how I coped in high school as a person with high functioning autism or Asperger's syndrome. Well, I want to share this to inspire and help other people with Asperger's as well as other people that know people with Asperger's by sharing my experience being in high school and what I've learned in coping with it, in making it the best experience possible, supporting my highest good. Alright, when I was in high school, one of the things I did to cope with was learning how to cope with social skills and learning how to make friends. I found that a very important factor in coping in the high school, making the experience good, because socializing and making friends is really a big part of high school. A lot of people say that when you go to high school, one of the big advantages is not only getting an education, but learning how to make friends and socializing. The reason why that's important is because in this world, in all the societies in the world, when you graduate, a big part in helping you find and land a job is not only the skills you learn from education, but also social skills too. Social skills is really half the battle, because a lot of times when you find jobs these days, it's all about who you know and networking. So I was lucky to realize the importance of that early on, but as a person with high functioning autism, of which often with that kind of disability struggles with socializing, reading social cues, think of things to say, have unusual interests that differ from other people's, I had to figure out how to fit in. So one thing I did was I tried to read as much as I could about current events, news, different things that people are interested in, such as music. I did that. The one thing I learned immediately was some of the things I wasn't really interested in, I was forcing myself to learn it. At the time I thought, even though I didn't really enjoy learning some of this stuff, I was still making good use of my time. I realized later I wasn't, because the stuff that I wasn't really interested in learning, I ended up not really learning anyway, because I wasn't interested. Generally, on a side note, people with Asperger's that aren't interested in things generally will struggle learning those things that they aren't interested in and have trouble implying the information and memorizing the information. That's what happened to me. So I felt like I was kind of wasting my time. However, I quickly realized that it's good to, as a person with Asperger's trying to break into the social crowd, it's good to find common interests of most of the people to socialize with things that you're interested in too. For example, I was interested in music. I was interested in alternative rock, and a lot of people in high school are interested in that, so I focused on that. I learned everything about that, and guess what? That really helped. That really helped me fit in and make a lot of friends. So I suggest that would be a good idea too, if you're trying to, as a good way to cope in high school, is learn the things that you find are interested, that other people are interested in. Now, I also want to say it's important too, in spite of what a lot of people may have initially thought, in spite of what I thought, there's another thing I did, and that was I learned the stuff that I continued learning about my odd interests too. And believe it or not, to my surprise, people really respected that. Even people that I thought were really judgmental or kind of, did things a certain way or interested in things a certain way, really respected my unusual interests. They kind of looked up to me and they really respected that. So I encourage you to do that. Don't give up pursuing the interests that you are interested in. That's very important. Another thing I did to help cope with high school was learning study habits. I struggled with studying, and so I learned to manage my time better. Basically, it's always good to write everything down on your agenda. Another thing I found helpful was journaling. Journaling any feelings and emotions that I got from school. high school is a really intense, school is a really intense experience for people with Asperger's, and they need time to kind of unwind and express their feelings, and journaling is a really great way. Not only it helps vent some of the feelings that you have suppressed that causes kind of overwhelmment, but when you write it down, it makes you learn and realize things. You'll come up with ideas of the things you're kind of working through, and you'll come up with ideas of solutions and ideas of things you should do or not do. Another thing I learned was it's always good to have a counselor, someone, a teacher that you like a resource teacher, a person maybe specialized with Asperger's, or counselor or academic advisor to talk to that will listen to you. That is very important, because there'll be times where you're going to feel overwhelmed and struggling with something, and you need someone to talk to. And when you do, it really, really, really helps a lot. Lastly, I suggest having a resource room, like some tutors to help, like maybe don't try to have every hour an academic class. Try to have one class where it's a study hall where you can get help with your homework, and that would be kind of a good time where you could talk to teachers too. But be aware, not every teacher is going to want to listen. Just find someone that you're close to that would want to listen. And then lastly, it's important to it's important to have a resource teacher, basically in general, that will kind of that you can talk to, that can kind of help you through social skills and stuff. And then that could also be like a friend too. If you find a trusted friend, that's always good. That's maybe doesn't have a disability, that could kind of when you're in a social situation, she can kind of coach you, he or she. That's always good. I had a couple of friends that kind of did that. I was blessed to have 2 friends. There was one in particular that I had. His name was Tom, and he really helped me out. I felt I learned a lot. And then it's always good to, of course, study hard, get involved in some activities. That's really good, because that will help your resume, help with your social skills. It's much easier to socialize when you're involved with extracurricular activities, especially stuff you're interested in, because you're all on the same level. You already got a common interest to talk about. Well, I hope all of this is helpful. Thank you for watching.